Hey, what is going on? In this video, I'm going to make a large tactical utility pouch. The exact measurements for this is 7 inches by 10 inches, and we're going to make it out of 1000 denier Cordura nylon. If you've not done so already, please smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and leave a comment. Every little thing you do really helps me out. If you want to make this pouch for yourself, I'll leave a link to the sewing pattern in the description below. So let's get started. So right here I'm working on the front of the pouch. I've cut 11-inch strips of nylon webbing and Velcro, and I've pretty much just sewn them to the front of the pouch in the type of fashion you'd see tactical gear be made in. This is called Molly or Powell's webbing. It's pretty much 1-inch spacing by 1.5 inch stitches, and that way you can connect all your military gear to it, I guess. I found that whenever I'm making pockets that go inside pouches, it's really helpful to use like elastic. So right here I've got 1-inch elastic and 2-inch elastic, and pretty much just stitching them in a way that I can stitch them to the inside pocket and be able to put a bunch of stuff in them to keep everything nice and organized inside the pouch. So this is the inside pocket, which I'm stitching here. I'm using, I think, a 4mm stitch length and number 69 bonded nylon thread. And I'm doing that for pretty much the entire project. If you've not noticed yet from my other videos, I'm addicted to sewing Velcro into my projects. This piece of Velcro right here is actually going to be on the inside pocket. And this is where you can pretty much keep like extra name tags and things like that for military or police uniforms. The Velcro I'm using here is 6 inches by 2 inches wide, and it's actually Velcro branded Velcro. It's not the stickiest Velcro you can get, but it's all I have right now. I'm just using a piece of 3/4 inch nylon webbing here just to finish off the inside pocket, just to make it look a bit more professional. Whenever I'm making something that I want to kind of keep some rigidity in it, I usually sandwich like a millimeter thick piece of foam between the layers. Sometimes I use hot glue, sometimes I use fabric glue, sometimes I just stitch it in place. It honestly doesn't matter, but it makes it feel like better quality and thick. In this video I'm actually using a craft glue, which I just threw out because it's garbage. So this video, I actually released it a while ago, but it wasn't exactly finished. I was doing a thing where I was trying to release about a video a week, until I figured out that I'm not actually capable of doing that. So the video was rushed. There was no blueprint, there was nothing. So pretty much figured I'd fix it up a little bit, make like a nice sewing pattern for the actual project I'm working on, and then just try and release everything around the same time. This here is actually the back of the pouch. I'm just going to be stitching the Molly webbing on it. Very time consuming, but it makes it easy to connect it to other things like backpacks or bags or whatever you gotta attach it to. It's a good connecting system. Now the back and front are both done, we gotta start working on the middle gusset. So just whipping out the old roller cutter here and gonna start cutting the gusset shape. It's pretty important that the measurements for the gusset are perfect, otherwise the project's not going to line up. I just sneezed on the video, I think. I'm just going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance on the zipper. I do pretty much most of my zippers the same way, just a 1/4 inch seam allowance, fold it over, put a nice top stitch on there. Make sure your thread's not too tight because it'll start crinkling up and make it all misshaped, so you don't want that to happen. Because the corners of this project are rounded, I'm actually going to cut 3 relief cuts into the corners. That way I can stitch in, it'll have an effect of it actually being a rounded corner. And those cuts are just a 1/4 inch in between them. So yeah, always remember to put your zipper pulls on. As I said, I can't remember how many times I've stitched a project together and forgot to even put a zipper on it. So just attaching the zipper to the bottom gusset here. This is just a 1/2 inch seam allowance. I usually just trim a tiny little bit off and then put some binding on it. I've given up on the binding machine, so most of my binding now goes by hand, but once you get good at it, it's just as fast as a binding machine anyway. These zippers, these are YKK Vislon zippers, and they're like pretty much like a plastic. so I don't like to stitch right through them. I always like hand bomb it, trying to not stitch a zipper, because you'll break your needle in a second if you try and stitch through one of these zippers. It's not like one of the coil zippers. You can just stitch right through those. Yeah, the good old bulldog clips. So use these just to connect the gusset to the piece. Once you got everything where you think it's going to be, just zoom around it with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Also, with these rounded corners here, you have the 3 cuts, so just make sure those are lined up and equally spaced as well. You don't want to go through all that effort and then have it look like garbage when it's done. Sort of stitching around the perimeter. The straighter you make these stitches, like the better these stitches are, the better your project's probably going to look. When I get to the corners here, I just do it by hand with the wheel on the machine, just to make sure that they're perfectly rounded and they're what's the word? Parallel-ish with the curves on the bottom piece. So once I finish stitching around the perimeter of both sides of the bag, I just use the binding machine there and just sew pretty much binding, so all that yellow foam and stuff is all covered and everything looks nice and neat inside. And by the time it's done, it just looks like a professional product that you would buy in a store. So that's the whole idea. I'm just going to use 2 malice clips, and that's the clips I'm going to use to actually connect them to the bag that I'll connect it to, and then just a piece of paracord cut to 9 inches, burn the edge, put a little cross knot on there. Check out my little cross knot video if you've not checked that out already. And yeah, this is the finished project. So thank you for watching. If you're not subscribed, subscribe to my tiny little channel. I'm just trying to get a bunch of watch time now, because I'd love to try and monetize this channel, but it's just so small and I don't see that happening, but miracles happen. So thank you for watching and take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.